Hi everyone, so I wanted to give a little tour of my craft space, in particular because it's a smaller craft space and I do have that dream box, which is the really cool organizational thing. I got that in order to have this small space. So I had to carve out the space. You'll see I have these folding screens that was in like a little second living room, I guess, in my house because we needed all of the rooms for my daughter and for a home office. And so that meant that I didn't have a craft space anymore. So we kind of created it by putting these folding screens up. And then, of course, because I have a 2.5-year-old, we had to put a gate up. But I just put a few things up on the wall that kind of brought everything together. And I definitely keep some of my ribbons up here. And it makes a nice little entryway. And so you'll see here I also have some curtains. I can close these. I'll close those afterwards once we walk in, and that gives me a little bit more privacy in the space. But let's go inside. Just open the door up here and come on in. I apologize if I'm a little bit shaky with my camera work. I don't have one of those fancy, what are they called? Like gimbals or something like that. So I'm just going to open this up here so that you can see when all these are closed. It creates a nice little oasis, like a little getaway for me so that I can have a little bit of private time and a little bit of work space. So from here, you'll see I have them closed, and I do have a folding screen that still manages to fold this little edge, so I can kind of bring that over, and then it gives a little extra space. It really kind of closes off my space. So I have a lot of stuff in the corner, but I have a little unit on the wall here that I put vintage laces and things in, like really vintage laces in. You'll see where I put most of my laces though in a minute. I do have a little spoon holder here that I haven't quite figured out everything I want to do. I just have a few little spoons as a leftover from a box. But this is my dream box. So I wallpapered the panels here on my dream box. And if you open up the dream box, you'll see I've got all of my things inside. I do have my sewing machine. I chose not to get the drawers that the dream box can come with because the height, I wouldn't be able to fit my sewing machine in. That it's important to me to have easy access to my sewing machine. So most of my washi tape storage is on that side and on this side. So I do have some extra spots with some washi tape, but that's the majority of it. And I sort of have all of these separated out by different things, napkins and papers and such, but it also is done by projects. So I don't just organize in one way. Certain things I organize by projects, certain things I organize by type, certain things I organize by what I might use something with. So things will go together. I do have, buttons and flowers and all sorts of things there. So if we close these up, so I mostly keep this open because I have a very small space. So I think I should probably give you a swirl around of that space. So if you're coming into the space, you'll come in through these doors. So I'll just turn around. So what you'll see when you come in to the space is here. It is a very small space, but I feel like I have really utilized the space well. It really works. It really functions. This corner over here, I am working on finding a wooden piece, something tall that maybe comes up to here and can fit in that corner. Because I feel like just having a wooden piece, I don't like these little metal drawers that I have. And then I'll show you this piece as well. It's really fun. So I'll kind of come over here. So if we walk over here, so over here on this wall is sort of my, vintage things up on the wall. I try to keep a lot of stuff up on the wall. I've got cigar boxes and old tins and such. I have some old sewing drawer baskets. Hopefully, once I get that piece in the corner, the wooden piece, I'll be able to put those and utilize those on that wooden piece and have that be a little more functional. That's what I'm looking forward to, because I have another 3 of these on the other side of the dream box. But I love storing things in them. They're really useful. Just fabrics and clothespins. I do love this piece. It holds a lot, and it's really nice storage. I just have a really old leather type organizer thing there. Got that at a Goodwill. Just stacked up vintage suitcase and things. This is an IKEA drawer unit that I had when I was sort of had everything IKEA in white. And I just put some little vinyl stickers on it to kind of mask the fact that it's an IKEA piece. I really want to move toward all kind of wooden pieces. And then I have some large wooden stamp storage up on the wall, a little glass flower press my grandmother gave me. And then this is my roll top desk. It's a vintage roll top desk. I love it. It is phenomenal. It holds so much. It is such a wonderful piece for journaling and for crafting. So up on top, I do have some Victorian albums that I plan to turn into junk journals, but I collect Victorian albums, so I really like them. And then a few different boxes. This one's a gorgeous writing box, and this one is a vintage globe box that has that little push thing that holds postcards and index cards in it. And then over here I have my label maker and just a few little things. I made this piece up here. Pam from the Paper Outpost did a project, so I made that piece, and just holds some of the current ephemera that I'm liking. I have my printer up here, and it's a nice spot for it. It's through Wi-Fi, but I can hook it up if I need to. It's close enough to my computer. Down here I have sort of my little utility station. I have, of course, my bin of many things. So I have a wooden bowl there that's all the little bits and bobs from projects, or just those little things that you have no idea what to do with. And then I have some pens, obviously some punches, a few washies that I'm working with. This is my glue holder. I do have a tip on this one. I use the Sugar Bell, I think is what it's called. And then when I need a lot of glue for something big, I use the bigger one. And then I do have the Aqua for things that don't need as much strength. And then, of course, scissors. And this is a vintage plate. I do keep my computer here, but with the cord there, I can easily move it so that I have a full crafting space. When I don't have my computer here, I can just take it off, put it to the side. I have these great little shelving bits here. So these ones are all individual, and it's great because I can keep, I've got a few different washes in there. And then this one is a full drawer. I also keep extra glue in here. This opens up that way. And then I have my punches, my primary punches that I use, my most common ones. The bigger punches and stuff like that. I have that in there. Same over here, little individual drawers. I keep some rub-ons in there, extra washi, and that's a full drawer. Just keep extra things. So this is my ink tower. This is all my inks. I pretty much only, except for these two, I only use Distress inks. I find that they just work for me, and I haven't ever really gotten into any other inks. So I have a Incredible. It's a really old one. I just like the color, and then a Versamagic, a white one that I needed for a project. So I think as I do projects, I'll get more colors, but I have pretty much all the small colors and things I need up there. These are all my neutrals and my vintage photo. I mix the oxides and the inks together. This is a cast iron, I'm sorry about that. This is a cast iron corn pond holder, like this little like, looks like corn on the inside. You see there, it's like an impression so that you could make cornbread. But I find that it's great for organizing things. So a lot of this little bits and bobs that I might need when I'm doing projects. So, and then what I really love about this desk is on each side, it has these pull out. And so I can surround myself. I can pull it out on the other side as well. And I have a full U to be able to work, which is really awesome. And then I just have a blanket with a chair. It gets cold over here. So like I said, this is the space, just trash can, cords and stuff. I really want to get rid of these units and do something else with it. Light, obviously, window. I have a printer tray here. I haven't quite figured out what I want to do with. Again, I want to put something here that is more wooden and vintage. This is my vintage sewing machine. There is a working sewing machine in it. It just needs a new belt right now. But obviously I have my cutting. This is my Empress Anna Griffin. And I love having it on a swivel. It makes it so easy. I highly recommend that. Over here, I have all of my most used fibers here, and just on some vintage spools. I find that's just the easiest and then prettiest way. And up here is my wall of lace. I cannot do lace in those on little cards. Like I just, my brain doesn't work that way. I need to see them, I need to touch them, I need to feel them. So for me, I can just walk over here and I can look through my laces, and I do have a little bit of order to them. I have like mostly my crocheted laces, you know, my flat, really thin laces, and then starts to get fluffier, fluffier, fluffier. And then over here, I have my really big appliques. My small appliques, I have another spot for, but my big appliques are here. And then I have some of my printed trims on this side. And what's great is they're on these little hooks. And so I can either just pull out a bit and chop it off the end and then just leave it there. Or if I want to work with it for a while, or I need to use a lot of it, I can just take the hook right off and I don't have to pull these down or anything. And these stay up there, and then I can just rehook them. And, you know, there are, some of these are 3 deep, so they really hold quite a lot. I've got well over 100 different laces up here, which is great. I just love how it looks. It creates a design element as well as some beauty. Now, the one thing I don't have up here though is any of my black or like blood red type laces, or even fibers. And that's because I really only use those if I'm going to be in some sort of Halloween journal or something really specific. And so I have those over here, and that's where all of my really dark kind of blood red and black lace is. But at least I know where it is. So if I want a piece like that, I can go directly to it. And over here, I have a vintage suitcase, vintage sewing basket. I do have my shipping label printer for when I ship things out for orders. I have a little kind of inspiration board, a little cross stitch I did. I love that. Took longer than I should have, but I do love it. I do have all of my cutting mats here. Not cutting mats, I apologize. Those are underneath this. These are my embossing folders and my big dies. So the really big Anna Griffin dies are there. And then this contains all of my smaller dies. So in here I have all the smaller dies. That way, functionable. And then I have a little piece in the back. I keep metal findings in this. So I have, you know, all of like little metal findings and stuff and such in there. And then if I come this way, I have a hutch. I love this hutch. I've had this for a long time. So I just have, you know, some books. I have some more sewing machine drawers. I really love organizing with them. I have most of my fabric up here. I don't have a ton of fabric just because it's not for junk journaling, because I try and keep smaller amounts for it. I do have a big stash of fabric for actual sewing projects because I sew and make clothes and things like that. So I do have a big bin in the garage of like bigger bolts of fabric. So, and then under, so I do have the drawers and everything filled. This is like my paper storage. I have an extra bin here for, this is my stamping kind of pad thing, and this is for all my dirty stamps, because I don't end up during projects cleaning stamps very often. I find it just slows me down. So I just have a plastic bin that I can pull out, put all my used stamps in, and then once it kind of gets full or I need it, then I go in and clean them all up. And then underneath I have extra storage, pretty much for extra things, extra fibers that maybe don't fit on there. This is my current projects. So the top piece, the basket, and this piece are for my daughter's baby book. I'm pregnant. And then the bottom bin is for a personal piece. I'm making a mermaid journal. This is my favorite piece in the room. We call her Shirley, but she's an old like architects or drafters type big unit. It's metal. It's all metal. I'll show you here. So the drawers are all metal. You can kind of hear it. And I painted them. They've been painted. And then I wrapped each of the handles with some twine. And then up here, there's plexiglass on top. You can see it here. So I painted everything on top. It's all wood. And I painted underneath, completely underneath. And then I placed all these old, beautiful vintage magazine and newspaper pages on top. They're not glued down or anything, so I can change them out as I want. And then underneath is the nice brown that's like full brown. So if I just wanted it to be plain brown, I can have it be plain brown. Or I can change it out with the seasons or whatever. So I love that. I love having that little bit of vintage, but it's plexiglass on top, so it's really easy to work with. I do have a little twine dispenser, another antique Victorian album. I have, these are like vintage appliques and vintage doilies. I like to keep those separate from my more modern ones. This is a stereoscope viewer. I do have another little, I think they are herb spice racks to put the bigger stamps on. This piece I love. I got this from the Urban Affair in the UK. And it's an old French display, antique French display for like a department store. And I just love it. It kind of allows me to display all little bits. I put little bits and bobs from each of the boxes I do, and just things that mean something to me and are special. A little Victorian purse in there and such. So, and then I love this piece. This piece is really phenomenal. It, you know, it just allows me to store a lot of my vintage items in it. So those are mostly like tintypes and cabinet cards and such. So it's really, really useful because it's long. So I'm able to put a lot of things in there. Again, just some more French wine corks. I have another sewing basket. This mostly has completed pieces in it, or little vintage pieces, just little extras from projects. And that is pretty much it. That is the totality of my space. I do have an arm here so that I can film, and I don't always have a blanket on here, but it does look nicer when you're in this spot. So yeah, I'll just sort of pan around. I've probably made you quite dizzy. Oh, and up here I just have all sorts of things in these, like different, like over here, like some Disney vintage things, and then just some vintage letters and things like that. So I try to utilize a lot of the the pieces that I have. And I have stickers. So I was a sticker maker and a planner, and so I have a lot of extra stickers and things like that. A flower press, some extra tins and fibers. And this one's mostly just a catch-all for different things. This is a journal I made. I do keep down here my cutter so that it's close while I'm by. The pink bin is whatever current fabrics I'm working on for a current project. So right now my daughter's baby book has fabric in there for that. And then I have a scoring board behind it. And then I have one of these little units that have all the little extras. And so that's what I use. Right now it's primarily empty except for a couple envelopes. That's what I use when I'm making my junk journal boxes and I'm making homemade ephemera for each of the boxes. So I have to make 25 of everything. So each item will go into one of those while I'm making them. So I know, all right, here's the basket of, altered library card pockets, or here's the 25 tags that I need to include. So I use that. And yeah, so this is my space. Small, but I feel like it works for me. And managed to make it work. I really love having this space because I can put really large things in it. Large atlases, large newspapers, things like that. It just stores so much. And I did put the same wallpaper up on the side, and then I do have my Cricut. I have a silhouette, but I use Cricut mats. So I do occasionally use that. But yes, that is my space. I hope you liked it, and happy crafting.